Hi Amna, it's great to see some more work from you here, so really well done. You're clearly putting a lot of effort into this, so it's really great to see, and it's the best way to improve your English, so keep up the good work, as we'd say. Let's have a look at your first essay then for task 2. So, to evolve constructive skills in young children, implementation of exciting recreational activities can be better than just studying. I believe that debate centres on enhancing child cognitive capabilities by stimulating his inner notion. We will analyse through different examples of child behaviour while engaging in active sports and indoor games. Okay, so some great vocabulary in there. You've got good use of recreational capabilities, stimulating inner notion. These are all really good. So it's good to see that you've got a good topic-specific vocabulary here. Let's see if there is anything that we can change. So the first sentence: to evolve constructive skills in young children, implementation of exciting recreational activities can be better than just studying. Okay, so here for this first word, evolve, it doesn't quite, it's not quite the right word for this context. So instead of evolve, we want to say to develop. So develop as in D-E-V-E-L-O-P. To develop constructive skills in young children, comma, the implementation of exciting recreational activities can be better than, T-H-A-N instead of E-N, than just studying. Okay, good. I believe, so no comma here, so I believe that the debate centres on enhancing child cognitive capabilities by stimulating his inner notion. Now, this phrase, inner notion, it's a good phrase, but it's unclear what meaning you're trying to get across here. So, enhancing child cognitive capabilities by stimulating his inner notion. I'm guessing here, but I think possibly what you're looking for is passion. So, stimulating passion or activity, things that he or they are interested in. So stimulating his interest, stimulating his passions, or their passions. Okay, we will analyse through different examples of child behaviour while engaging in active sports and indoor games. Okay, so here we don't need through. So we will analyse different examples of child behaviour while engaging in active sports and indoor games to address this issue. For example, okay, because we need to say what we're going to analyse. So we're analysing child behaviour in active sports and indoor games to address this issue on the debate of whether it's a good thing or not. Okay. Alright then, so first paragraph, starting with firstly, which is great, firstly, comma, good. Indulging with adolescents in daily life, make them more confident. Okay, so the word indulging here, I can see what you're getting at with this, but we need to say indulging in what? So, for example, indulging in amusing activities with adolescents makes them more confident, for example. Okay, I would take out in daily life because it's extra, and also we need to have makes because we've got plural adolescents. So makes them more confident. If we adopt to teach them while playing with the games of their own interest, this can definitely encourage them to enhance their inner capabilities. Okay, so we could take out adopt here and say if we teach them through playing games of their own interest or through playing games they are interested in, this can encourage them to enhance their inner capabilities, or even just to enhance their capabilities or skills. Okay, so we're changing that sentence slightly and say if we teach them by playing with games they are interested in, this can encourage them to enhance their skills. Okay. For example, comma, psychologists with a small p, lowercase p, psychologists believe that youths, with an S on the end, youths playing console games have higher levels, with an S, of visual imaginative memory and are more attentive than, with an A, than pupils, with an S, of the same age, not their same age, the same age. Similarly, good, implementing thrilling approaches, so ES on the end here, for instance, educating, so here we could say educating with flashcard games through visual effects. Let me just make sense of this sentence for a second. Above all, 3D imaging can definitely enhance their long-term. Okay, so similarly, implementing more thrilling approaches, ES on the end of approaches, for instance, playing flashcard games, using visual effects, can be beneficial. Okay, so we need to add that onto the end and separate this into two sentences. Then we could use, above all, 3D imaging can definitely enhance long-term memory and clear their concepts. So help them learn clearly, perhaps, or accurately, instead of reading from a book. Okay, and then the last part, therefore, recreational pursuits enhance psychological capabilities. Alright, now this last summary sentence is almost like a standalone sentence, and instead we need to link it to what we've already said. So we could say, therefore, it is clear that recreational pursuits enhance psychological capabilities. So we don't want it to be a completely separate sentence. We want it to be linked to what we've already said. Good. So we've tackled enjoyable activities. Now we're moving on to physical activities. You started your paragraph with secondly, which is great. So signposting to the examiner where you're going next. So secondly, encouraging teenagers to participate in physical activities can play a positive role in developing their mental skills. Okay. For instance, great, sports, lowercase s here, sports like football, running, cycling, walking in the fresh air. Because that is the last one, we need to have cycling and walking in the fresh air are all enjoyable activities. Okay. Our brains, so capital O, our brains, brain with an S, our brains release certain hormones when we exert energy. We could put a full stop there, so small sentence. Our brains release certain hormones when we exert energy, full stop. These chemicals, in this sentence, these chemicals help us to progress and enhance our cognitive capabilities. Good, well done. Now, for instance is not quite the right use here. It would be good if we were saying for example, but we want to say as such. So because of this fact, the BMP journal states that this. Okay, so as such, AS, new word, SUCH, as such. BMP journal states that children participating in a community sport is advocated as a form of leisure time in an effort to not only improve physical health in relation to such matters as the obesity crisis, but also to enhance psychological and social outcomes. Alright, now this is a very long sentence, first of all, so it spans 4 lines, which is a little bit too long for a sentence in an academic essay, purely because the longer the sentence, the more you lose your key point. Okay, so for instance, as such, we suggested, as such, BMP journal states that children participating in a community sport is or should be encouraged as a form of leisure, full stop. Okay, This is because it not only improves physical health, in relation to the obesity crisis, but also enhances, with an S, enhances psychological and social outcomes. Okay, so you can see how we've taken that very long sentence and divided it into two and also made it a little bit more concise. So we're just getting across the key points in a concise but good use of language. Okay, so then we get on to your conclusion. So to conclude from the examples and argument given above, I firmly agree that optimistic attributes can be enhanced in children while encouraging them to engage themselves in recreational pursuits. Okay, future generation might be absorbing things differently, but they are far more smarter than we are. Okay, so a couple of things with word order here. So to conclude from the examples and arguments, with an S, arguments given above, good. I firmly agree that okay, so that skills can be enhanced whilst engaging in recreational pursuits. Okay, so skills can be enhanced whilst engaging in recreational pursuits. So again, we're making this a little bit shorter. And then this last idea is really good. It creates a really good impression for the examiner, for your last idea, the lasting impression. We just need to change the wording slightly. So future generations, with an S, future generations might be absorbing things differently, but they are far smarter, no more, than THAN, than we are. Okay, and then perhaps just put on a little bit at the end to say, showing that engaging ways of learning are effective. Okay, so it's a great idea, great impression to leave on the examiner, but we just want to link it directly to the question. Okay, but really great work, well done. There are definitely a huge number of positives in your writing here. To summarise, it's and going forward, really it's about your sentence length and keeping your ideas concise and to the point. Because of course in the exam you don't have lots and lots of time to write very long sentences. So it's best to keep those sentences concise and to the point, so you have less to check at the end and that your ideas are clear for the examiner. Okay, let's go on then to the second task that you've done. So this is your essay number 2. Alright, and this is about schools being either pleasurable places or more educational places. Okay, so some individuals assume that institutions should be a more pleasurable place, and others anticipate that education is the only purpose of teaching institutions. I believe teaching is an art and should be followed by changing the environment. In this essay, I will discuss the importance of education in an appealing and attractive way, rather than just making people learn forcefully in dull and dry environment. Alright then, let's have a look at this introduction. So, some individuals, assume is not quite the right verb here. We want something along the lines of believe or state or indicate. Okay, so some individuals believe, for example, that institutions should be a more, instead of pleasurable, perhaps creative place or a more engaging place. And others state that education is the only purpose of teaching institutions. Okay, I believe teaching is an art and should be done in a dynamic environment. Okay, so an environment that changes and can adapt. Alright, so I believe teaching is an art and should be done in a dynamic environment. In this essay, I will discuss the importance of education in I will discuss the importance of educating in appealing and attractive ways, with an S, rather than, THAN, just making pupils, with an S, learn forcefully in dull and dry environments. Okay, now dull and dry, they're not the adjectives that we would normally see in an academic essay. Okay, so we could perhaps use dull, but a dry environment doesn't quite have the right meaning here. So we could say, for example, in unappealing environments or monotonous environments. Okay. Firstly, how to make environment attractive is a key factor to attract students every morning. Okay. How we feel when our homes are dull and boring without lights or colours. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. How to make environment attractive is a key factor. Okay, so here, I think what we should say instead is, firstly, making environments attractive is a key factor in attracting students every morning. Or, because we've already got attractive, in engaging students every morning. Otherwise, students feel how they feel when their homes are dull and boring without lights or colours, for example. Okay. In addition, introducing the latest technology in schools enables students to engage and learn more enthusiastically. Okay. For example, research shows many adolescents have visual learning capabilities than reading. Okay, so have more visual learning capabilities than capability to learn from reading. And this fasten their brain signals to increase their long-term memory. This speeds up, to make faster, speeds up their brain signals and increases their long-term memory. On the other hand, updated software can streamline tedious tasks like answering questions, making notes, yeah, okay, so I thought you had a longer list here. So, like answering questions and making notes. And then the last part, reducing the time needed. For example, reducing the time needed. Alright? Okay. Secondly, less time can be implemented in schools. More quality than quantity make things workable and successful for the future. Okay. So, secondly, less time could be spent in schools, encouraging quality rather than quantity. Okay, and then I would start another sentence and say, this will be more successful for the future. Pupils, with an S, can complete their studies, IES at the end, after school, hence getting more time to enjoy their lives, LIVES, and spend time with their families. Okay, okay, now, this sentence, I'm just thinking about how this links back to the question, okay, on whether places should be more enjoyable or whether they should be more educational. So, we need to make sure that this paragraph links. So, how would this help people to learn? Alright. And last but not least, to learn interactively, organising more field trips. Field trips are fun, above all, new way to make them learn through practical approaches. Okay, so we could say last but not least, so not the least, not least, field trips are fun and a good way to make students learn through a practical approach. For instance, visiting museums with an S is better than reading history books. So here we just need to expand a little bit more. Why is visiting a museum better than reading a history book? Okay, make it really clear for the examiner how this paragraph links to your question. Okay, we have to make it crystal clear for them. Otherwise they will question our cohesion in our essays. Okay, so to conclude from the examples and arguments with an S given above, comma, I firmly agree that people learn better in enjoyable environments with an S. Interactive learners learn better interactively. Okay, good. But a capital I here. In the future, comma, the gap between the students and education will be negligible if we implement appealing ways of learning. Okay. I feel that this last sentence possibly needs a little bit more explanation. So in the future, the gap between, I think where you're going here is the gap between the student's way of learning and the way of teaching will be negligible if we implement more appealing methods, for example. Okay, because we need to make it clear what that gap that we're talking about is. Okay, so as well with negligible, that's a very negative word, will be narrower, I would say. So the gap between students' way of learning and the way of teaching will be narrower if we implement more appealing ways or more appealing methods. Okay. Alright, so there's quite a lot of changes there, but these are mainly to your sentence structure, largely. And also there are a couple of things that came up in the first essay, as well as the second essay. Just to recap those, commas in particular. So if you start a sentence like you did with firstly and secondly, these are good. But the same is if you have on the other hand, comma. Or there was another one. In the future, comma. Okay, so be aware of those. And also, when you're using than, you tend to write then, T-H-E-N, instead of than, T-H-A-N. So that's definitely one that you can pick up straight away to notice, especially when you're checking through your essay. What I would say as well with this, because some of your sentences tend to be a little bit long on occasion, I would say possibly try reading through your essay out loud. Now, I know you can't do this in the exam, but as a practice technique, it can be quite useful because then you will recognise when a sentence is getting a little bit too long, because normally it would be that you start to get out of breath. And this can be a good indication of how long it's too long when you're writing a sentence. So it could be a good tip for practicing. But yes, really well done. Great work, and great to see you working so hard. So fantastic.